So right now I'm standing at the same area where I stood a little over a week ago. And this is the initial trailhead for the backpacking trip I was all set to go on. But then the weather decided that it would be better for me to head to Capitol Reef for a little while and get some snow, get some rain, and get to know the place. And I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. Normally when I go on these trips and I do the backpacking trip first, it's good from a psychological standpoint. But I also have a lot of pressure on my shoulders as far as, if I'm going to make my way all the way into this canyon and stay there for several days, I probably should at least find some pretty good photos to justify all the effort. And I've done pretty well with that in years past. But now at this point in the trip, since I have exposed already, I believe, 15 sheets of film, I don't have that pressure weighing on my shoulders. And I got kind of excited heading here, knowing that if I don't get any photos, it's just fine. I've already, hopefully, gotten some pretty cool stuff from Capitol Reef. Now it's time just to kind of have some fun and see if I can find some scenes that sort of capture the feeling of being there. So I got my pack all set up there. Definitely a lot lighter this year than last year. I think I'm probably somewhere around 60 pounds. And that's including the Ritter 8x10 camera, which I have not used yet. The 150mm wide angle, 300mm Fujinon normal lens. And I'm also bringing a 600mm because the scene I think might make for a pretty good photo. But I got everything packed up. I just got to fill out my permit and then hit the trail. Descended the main sandstone area. And now it's a bit of a cross-country trek to get to the canyon. It's partially cloudy today. There's a little bit of rainfall in the distance, but this is just as the storm is clearing out. So not something I'm concerned at all about. But if we do get a little rain, it's fine because I'm all set up for it. It's a pretty nice, relaxing hike actually. It's pretty nice to have a lot less weight on my back, even though I'm carrying more lenses than I had last year, so that's pretty cool. Well, I've arrived at my campsite, and this is the same campsite that I've stayed at for the past few years, but there's been some changes this year. The large, mature cottonwood tree has fallen over a bit. It's still alive, but certainly wouldn't have wanted to have been around when this thing fell over. But now I have to do some housekeeping, gotta pump some water, set up camp, make some lunch, and then I was gonna go ahead and head up the canyon and see what I could find this year. Well, it's the morning of day 10, and I'm in Zion National Park. So I owe you guys a little bit of an explanation. So yesterday, after setting up camp, after making some lunch, pumping some water, and spending some time exploring the canyon a little bit, I came to the conclusion that I was done with this trip, and I'm just kind of burnt out. And I probably should have known better before hiking into Neon Canyon, because usually about 10 days is my limit. At that point, I just kind of get burnt out. I miss home, miss my wife, and so I decided might as well just call it quits. I did a lot of work in Capitol Reef, and hopefully some of those turned out pretty good. And I just don't really have the desire to go and keep finding new compositions, new subjects, and all that. But I came over here to Zion for one particular reason. I'm just stopping over here on my way home. And this is something I sort of spoke about in the past few days or so. And as I mentioned earlier, I hit a $5 bill here on my winter trip. I just want to see if it's still here. So there's this log over here, this knot hole, and yep, it is still there. $5. I'm gonna hide this elsewhere, see if it's here again in the fall. And thanks as always for following my journey, and I'll see you around next time. If you love this content and want to help support my journey, you can do so by subscribing to my YouTube channel, telling a friend, or sending a voluntary contribution of just $24 a year with PayPal or Patreon. I depend on the generous support of people like you to produce this ad-free content. For more information on how to support me, please visit the donations section of my website. Thanks in advance for your support.